Hello, my beautiful pumpkins, and welcome to the Everything You Need to Hear Right Now reading. I have channeled in message from your guides, your angels, your ancestors, and anyone wanting to come through. If you guys didn't know, I am a channeler here. I specifically tend to work with spirit guides, but those can come in many forms. And I channel in messages for you. We also do intention candles, things like that. But before we actually get into the reading and talking about the candles and things like that, I do want to let you know that today's video is actually sponsored by Keen. And I love working with Keen. Many of you know I've worked with Keen several times in the past, and I just really love their service and what they do. I think they're so helpful. So for those of you unaware, Keen is actually an online psychic service that can connect you with spiritual advisors so that you can gain clarity and guidance and advice on many different topics, including things like your love life, your career, your destiny, your purpose, anything that you're currently going through or that you could possibly need advice on. There is absolutely an advisor for you. And I love that they actually have different kinds of advisors too. I've definitely seen spirit guide advisors. I've seen tarot advisors. I've seen astrologer. They have a clairvoyant. They have just tons of different kinds that you can choose from. And in terms of the sign up process, I really like what they do because they actually do ask you a few little simple questions about yourself just to kind of understand what kind of advisor might be best for you. And the questionnaire is super easy. I talk about this all the time. I am a Taurus sun sign, and Taurus, sometimes, we know how to go for it. Don't get me wrong. Taurus knows how to work hard, but we also know how to be real lazy when we want to be. And I feel like if this was difficult, this is something I'd be like, no, this is way too hard. But no, it is so easy. The sign up process is so simple. And honestly, I think it's kind of fun because you get to learn little things about yourself too, not only from the psychic advisor, but just in taking the little quiz that they give you to kind of assign one to you or help you find one. They also have a 24/7 service available. So it doesn't matter what time or day it is for you, you will be able to connect with someone. So even in the moments where you feel like you really need help and you need answers right now, there is someone available. And I love this because y'all know on my channel, something that gets asked to me constantly is, do I do private or personal readings? And at this time, I do not, nor do I know if I ever will in the future. That's something that if it should ever come up, I'll let you know. But I don't offer that. And so to me, this is a way that you actually have access to somebody that can give those answers to you and help you out in that regard. There are tarot card readers there. There are people that can connect with your guides. So I love that. And for those of you that are signing up new as a new member to Keen, Keen is actually offering my subscribers 10 minutes for $1.99. You can use my link, which is trykeen.com/Kloee Taylor. I will put it in the description box down below and also in the top pinned comment. So if you want to check it out, definitely use my code for that so that you can get that amazing deal, 10 minutes for $1.99. And I really love this as well because this actually makes Keen one of the most affordable psychic services because there are so many different fluctuating prices. Like different psychics charge different amounts as well. So not only do you get this deal as a new member, but different psychics also charge different price points. So it does make them one of the best in that regard. And those of you that are already Keen members, make sure you're checking your emails. There are discounts that go out periodically, so definitely make sure you're checking those to see if you have more discounts available to you. And the last thing I want to say before we jump into it is just kind of share a little of my experience with Keen and why I really believe in the service and why I continue to talk about it on my channel. Many of you may or may not have noticed we don't do a lot of collaborations on this channel, and that's because I'm very particular about who I will work with. I really take my integrity very seriously with this channel, and when it comes to Keen, I choose them again and again because their service has been valuable to me. As somebody that reads cards, is very intuitive, channels messages. I can do a lot for myself, but I'm also very attached to myself. It's easier for me to read for other people than it is sometimes to read for myself, especially if I have some feelings about what's going on. It's harder to center myself and be in that place to receive guidance. So I've reached out to a few different psychics on Keen in the past, and both times I feel like they really tapped into my energy. I felt it. Like I actually felt there being a connection made twice. And both times the guidance that they gave, there were certain things that I didn't even tell them and they knew. So I really do believe in the service. Like I have mentioned a lot about moving in my future and kind of like asking for guidance, and multiple psychics have given me guidance on that. And the guidance is just incredible. I feel very confident in the decisions that I'm making and where I'm going in my life. So definitely check them out. I love them so much. And also please remember, if you're a new Keen member, to check out that link down below in the description, in the comments, the trykeen.com/Kloee Taylor. It's trykeen.com/KLOEETAYLOR, and you'll get your first 10 minutes for $1.99. So thank you so much, Keen, for sponsoring this video, and let's get into it. All right, my beautiful friends, we have pile number 1 over here with the red candle, pile number 2 here with a blue candle, and pile number 3 here with a yellow candle. So go ahead and you can choose this multiple ways. Maybe there's one of those numbers resonates with you, one of the candle colors. Ooh, that one was trying to run away. One of the candle colors resonates with you. Definitely check out the timestamps for these down below to see if any of the numbers in the timestamps, that often is how I will choose. If I'm doing another pick a card from someone, I will choose based off of the timestamp numbers. So, you know, if there's like my lucky number is present in there, that is one way that I will know, you know, or just trust your intuition. You can read the auras of cards if that's something that you're really good at, or you trust yourself in that way. You know, the ultimate thing is to know is that you're never going to choose wrong, and it's okay to choose multiple piles. Some people will listen to all 3, and that's how they'll make a decision at the end. Some people feel called to more than one, and some people right off the bat, you knew just from the thumbnail or from coming to the video. So definitely check it out. And trust yourself. Above all else, that's like the best advice I can give you. If you're struggling to choose a pile, just trust yourself and know that whatever you choose, it might be one card in that reading, or it might be the whole reading, or it might be a handful of them. You know, it just trust yourself. And I'm going to go ahead and be quiet, give you some time to meditate with the 3 piles here, and then we'll get into everything you've been wanting to know. All right, my beautiful pumpkins, if you chose this pile, you chose the red candle, and red candles actually represent fire, passion. This can be your fire signs in the zodiac as well. So this is going to be Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. And I believe honestly that not only is it like passionate love, but it can be like a passion for life. Maybe you just need to light a little fire under your behind, as they say, because red actually is the candle color that represents the element of fire. So anything that is fire elemental, that is going to be really powerful with whatever intention you decide to set with this candle. You can set any intention that you want to. You don't have to go by what I am suggesting. Those are just some things if you're having a hard time thinking of something. But go ahead and think of something that you want to set intention for your life. This could be a person, a place, a thing, you know, whatever it is that you want to call into your life at this time. It could also just be that you want to feel, you know, reignited for life right now. So anything that you want to call in, go ahead and place your left and right hands over your heart, because your heart center is where your heart chakra is, as well as your heart, right? The center of love. This is the conduit that helps connect the upper and lower chakras in the chakra system. So we want to place our left and right hands here, and we're just going to take one big, deep belly breath in. Think about that intention, hold that intention while we do so, and that is going to help us to attract that by aligning it with the vibration of love, because that's the highest attunement we as humans can attach our energy to, or really attune our energy to is a better way to put that. Let's go ahead and take that deep breath in together. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take my enchanted lighter here, and we are going to light this up, and we're going to see what happens. So I do feel like this is beautiful. I don't know how well you can see it in the image. Eventually, when we move to another room and I'm able to record, I'm going to try to have a dual camera set up for y'all so you can see more of the candle and what's going on. But as this lit, the wick actually kind of turned upward. And what this says to me is that many of you are coming out of something. You're coming out of maybe a darker time in your life, a darker chapter. There is definitely a rising happening right now. There is a rising of self. And I just got this image of a warrior. Like maybe you feel like you've been kind of going to battle for yourself and you've been having to really go to bat for yourself and do good by you. And maybe it's been a really lonely road, but Spirit is really saying to me right now that like the sun is coming to shine again. Things are getting better, and just notice the little things in your life right now that maybe are changing, because as you notice these things, more and more and more of them are going to start being more synchronistic and showing up for you. So I love that. That's like a promise of brighter days, and it's still happening. Like it's still slowly rising. As I'm talking about this, it's like so slow, but it's slowly coming to a point where it's going to be like vertical. So very cool. I don't know if I've ever seen a wick do that before. So we're going to go ahead and put this candle right up over here for you so we can keep our eye on it in the reading. And let's see what cards have to say for us. What does Spirit have for us? So we are going to be reading with this black tarot deck again. I've done this before, and sometimes the images are kind of hard to see, but I'm going to do my best to really show them to you. So I'm going to actually refocus, and I'll try to get the light to hit them so you can see what's going on. So we do have the Eight of Wands here for you. I love that. That is pure fire energy in my opinion. I love that for you. We have the Two of Swords for you. Beautiful. We have the Death card. We have the Five of Wands. The wand cards are really dark in this deck, but so beautiful. And then we also have the Three of Wands. So this whole reading, very riddled with wand cards. There's no curiosity here to me that we got this. This is all under the red candle. So Three of Wands. Okay, so what Spirit is wanting to tell you right now with what maybe you've been inquiring about, questioning about, is I feel like there is something being let go of in your life right now, because when we have the Death card, and that is at the center of these 5 cards, when we have the Death card coming out, yes, it's all about transformation and rebirth and all this stuff, right? But what I think a lot of people fail to mention about the Death card is that we have to let something die. In order to be reborn again, to transform ourselves, transform our life, we have to sacrifice something. We have to let something go. And I just got the chills when I said this, so maybe some of you are having a similar reaction. But we have to let something go. And I'm hearing that some of you maybe are wanting to start like new health regimens. Some of you are wanting to get more into like your physical fitness, or maybe you've been getting more into it, your own nutrition, understanding your body. And Spirit is saying that there are habits that you've had for a really long time that you need to there has to be a level of sacrifice. And it doesn't mean that now you need to go do these really unhealthy things to your body. You know, we're not doing that. It's not about that. It's that there maybe just have been some really unhealthy habits. And those are things that might take some time to fully let go of and understand. But it's in that understanding that we're able to fully surrender them. So if that sounds like you've been really getting kind of on the health grind, then there is something to be let go. And that is really going to help you move forward. This could even just be a mindset. Those of you that are like, what are you talking about? I'm doing all these really good things for my body. It could just be a mindset that needs to die. There might be a part of you that just is like rooting for you to fail because, and I don't even want to say fail because I don't really like failure, to be honest. I feel like failure isn't even real. It's just showing us that, this didn't work, and it's here to show us why it didn't work, give us a chance to evaluate and retool what we're doing to make it work. So I say failure very loosely, but I feel that, or what I'm hearing rather, is that it's it's not that, you know, it's like you have to kind of overcome that mentality of it's never worked, so why would it start working now for me? And it's honestly, I'm hearing that there's just some details that need to be moved around. And with this Eight of Wands, I feel like you're going to have a lot of success in the beginning. Now, those of you that are not really on a health grind, you feel really good about where your body is, and that's not really what you're into. I do feel that for many of you, there's just something in your life. There might be a relationship. I'm seeing a literal leech. Like, I'm seeing somebody that is just like covered in leeches. Like, there is this, like, somebody is literally leeching the energy out of you. And this could be a significant other for some of you. This could be a very toxic family member. This could be a very toxic friend or a few friends. It's somebody that you definitely don't necessarily get along with. Like, you already kind of know who this person is. They're not doing anything in secret. So those of you that it's not about the weight loss, I feel like there's somebody in your life that's really leeching from you, and they're doing it by getting a rise out of you. They're like saying things that really irritate you, that they know irritate you. They're disrespecting your boundaries, and they're trying to cause arguments with you because they feed on that energy. So that's what I'm getting from this Five of Wands. There might be some contention, and it's being caused on purpose. And maybe you're unaware of that it's being caused on purpose. And they might even be subconsciously unaware that it's happening, because that, I feel like, it happens a lot in relationships. People aren't even consciously aware of what they're doing, but they're unconsciously feeding off of this energy. So that could be the thing that really needs to go, especially because we have two snakes here that are very intertwined. And I mean, we also have snakes that represent like Kundalini awakenings. The snake is very representational of a lot of things in spirituality. But the reason that I'm saying this is this could be two snakes intertwined. You're very intertwined with this person, and Spirit is saying you need to make a choice of, you know, if this is a habit that needs to be let go of, you need to simply make the choice that you're not going to participate in it anymore. And if it's a person, cutting them off, making that decision. You're kind of at a standstill for yourself right now. And Spirit is saying you'll be able to shed what's not working. You'll be able to, even with your own health journeys as well, you'll be able to shed, literally shed skin, shed weight, whatever it is that you're after. Just have better health and nutrition, more energy, have better relationships, better connections. You'll be able to shed like a snake, right? They shed their skin. You'll be able to shed, but you have to make a choice. And it's not going to be easy. Usually the Two of Swords really talks about a really hard decision. It doesn't come easily. And you might have to really think this over before you do something about it. But Spirit is saying do something or it will do it for you. That's usually what the thing is with the Two of Swords, is there's a decision needing to be made. And if it's not made, a decision will be made on your behalf. And it's not always the one that you would have rather had. So, and I don't say that to scare you. I feel that you know, it's important to know that you have power to make that choice right now with whatever you decide, and that you're never going to choose wrong. Even if it doesn't go the way that you think it should have, you'll still have learned something. And back on this Eight of Wands, I was going to say there will be some success in the beginning. Maybe even with cutting someone out, it might feel really liberating, more things flowing into your life, but you're going to have to keep up those boundaries, whether it's with another person or it's with yourself, in terms of like setting new habits in motion, setting new conversations, new ideology between you and another person. You're going to have a lot of success in the beginning, but there might come a time where you're really going to have to amp up your game and stick with it. You know, motivation's a joke. I think, myself included, I have fallen prey to this before in my own life. You know, we think that motivation, that's what we need to get going, but motivation is very short-lived and we can't always rely on it, no matter what it is. If it's setting down a boundary and feeling really confident in that, if it's going on some kind of health journey, you know, no matter what it is, motivation is very fleeting. And confidence can be fleeting as well. You know, confidence, you might feel really, 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 really confident in what you're doing in one day, and the next, maybe not so much. And that's normal. It's normal to kind of have that back and forth, the ebb and the flow, but stay consistent as much as you can. And then with our Three of Wands here, Spirit is also saying that whatever is happening now, you are going to be getting some good news. Meaning, if you stick to it with this, say what you need to say, shed what you need to shed, work on it, you're going to receive good news. Because when we start to put something in motion, we're going to expand no matter what, whether it's an expansion of consciousness, a physical expansion, maybe things in your life start to just fall into place easier. To me, the Three of Wands really speaks on the behalf of putting something in motion and seeing positive returns on that. So no matter what you do, there's going to be a positive return on this for you. You're going to grow in some kind of way, whether getting a new perspective on life or I don't really feel like it's a new relationship, but we'll get more cards in a little bit and see what else we can kind of gain more insight on. But honestly, I feel like that's a very beautiful message right off the bat. Like your efforts will be blessed no matter what you're doing. Then we also have for you the second house, the third house, and Capricorn I use. Okay, so those of you that I was talking about a relationship, we literally got Capricorn I use. Now, I need to make it very clear, not all Capricorns are users. It doesn't work like that. Like, we can't stereotype based off of one zodiac sign. And I hope that if you're here and you think that that's the energy that I bring to the table or channel, absolutely not. I don't personally really like stereotypes when it comes to astrology signs because I believe we have a whole chart that is very intricate and there's so many aspects that could make somebody's chart reflect differently. But in this case, we are going to take this very literally. Spirit is literally saying if this is a person that you've been dealing with, they're literally using you. And this is something how you'll know if you're being used, because the moment that you lay down a boundary, there might be a moment of lack of understanding, but if they truly misunderstand you and they're angry about your boundaries and you changing and actively go against what you're asking for, that's how you'll know that you're being used, because people only get angry about your boundaries. And I will say this again and again and again. People only get angry about your boundaries because they benefited from you having none. And now they're mad that whatever you've cut off, they're not receiving anymore. So some of you are actually being used. It could be being used by somebody with a Capricorn dominant placement as well, or a Gemini placement, or a Taurus placement. Third house is ruled by Gemini. Second house is ruled by Taurus. And this could be somebody that you have finances joint with or you speak to a lot. I say that because the second house is about ownership. The third house is all about communication. And then Capricorn also deals with the career. So this could also be somebody at work. And with the second, third, and Capricorn coming out here for those of you that are on a very big health journey, Taurus is the sign that really deals with food and sometimes overconsumption. And they tend to really like to indulge. So this could be where it's going to be difficult for you. And honestly, reaching out and talking to someone else about it might be a good thing. Now, obviously, talk to somebody that you really trust, because when it comes to health journeys, everybody has an idea of what they think is going to be good for every single person. And frankly, everybody is different. There are different people with different situations, different conditions, different ways that their bodies function, that we can't all do it the same way. And what is really unhealthy for one person might be extremely healthy for another person based on what is going on internally with their body. So, be very careful with who you share this information with if you're on this health grind, because there are going to be some people that are not going to be here for what you're doing for you. And remember that what you do for you really isn't anybody else's business. And I feel like some of you are, if you share, there maybe is this, you could get hurt. And so Spirit is really telling me to remind you, go with someone that is very supportive, that to be supportive of you, because that's something, gosh, one of the fastest ways that people even leave jobs is because they get new management and they don't like new management. And I feel like that's actually, I learned that somewhere. I took a class somewhere. I've taken so much schooling. I'm a Sag Rising. I love learning. I took a class somewhere that talked about that like the number one reason people leave jobs is because new management comes in and they just don't jive the same way. And I feel like for you, even though it's not a job, or maybe some of you, that is the message, that's about work because we have that work related sign. But those of you that are on that health grind, and even those of you that are maybe wanting to exit some kind of a relationship, just be really careful who you share the information with, because there are going to be people that are going to understand and be compassionate and loving towards you. And then there are going to be people that are not going to be supporting what you're doing because they're angry at themselves for wherever they are in their lives right now. And it's not even about you. So just keep that in mind. Only speak to people that you trust about this, especially if you're somebody that loves to share like everything that you do with your life. Be very careful. Be very mindful of yourself. And let's pull out a few more. We have flexible. And then we also have time to go. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm laughing. I'll explain. So with flexible, I feel like this is kind of about learning yourself, learning your body. Some of you might actually be getting into more like yogic practices or things like that. When it comes to those of you that are maybe changing relationships, be very flexible with the people in your life that are still attached to that person. If some of you share kids with someone, you might have to be a little more flexible with that. If it's a family member and some of your family members still talk to that person, be flexible with that. Allow for the complexity, because whatever the situation is that you're worried about, it is a complex situation. And the more you can pivot and be flexible with the complexity, the easier this is going to be for you. Now, in terms of laying down your boundaries, doing good by you, with time to go, I started chuckling because this is something that has just come up so much in my own life as of late. And I keep repeating this to people. It's funny that it would come out here. Maybe collectively, we're just going through something, okay? But when respect stops being served at the table, know that it's okay for you to eat by yourself. Know when it's time to go. Know when it's time to say, you know what? I love you, I respect you, but I also love and respect me, and I need to go. If somebody is not respecting your decisions, and especially if you're not harming yourself, because I do think that sometimes we can be harming ourselves in a certain way and people are concerned. But if we're not harming ourselves and we're doing good by us, know when it's time to say, okay, I love you, but I also love me, and I gotta go. That's like one of my favorite phrases in the world is I love you, but I also love me, so I'm gonna go. It's not damning the other person, but it's also expressing, I have self-love, self-compassion, and self-respect. So know that you don't need anybody's support for what you're doing. You really don't. You are able to go and do what you need to do by you. And Spirit is also saying that whatever you're kind of making decisions on with this right now, you might have to go off alone for a little bit. And it's going to be good for you. It'll be very healing. Remember, we talked about something has to die. Something has to be let go of. In order to go through that transition, we might have to go out alone by ourselves for a little bit. And that's all right. You're going to be okay. And the last two cards I have for you are Best Possible Decision. Beautiful. And Imagination. So Spirit is really wanting you to know that whatever decision you make for yourself right now regarding all of this, it is the best possible decision you can make for you. Your decisions are being blessed right now. Spirit is helping you make the decisions that you need to make for your life to go in the direction you want it to go, and visualize it. Spirit is saying, get really clear, visualize how you want things to play out. Visualize how you want conversations to play out. Visualize how you want this, if you're changing your body or your routines, visualize it. See yourself as that person looking in the mirror at yourself. See yourself eating a certain way, doing it a certain way, and know that whatever decisions you're making, they're clear. You're not living in a fog. Even if you have to go off alone for a little bit, it's okay. And honestly, I love this for you. I think that overtly, this is like a very positive reading, even though we pulled some cards out that can be a little more difficult to process. Spirit, like I feel good. Like I always like to tell y'all how I'm feeling because when I channel, it is very emotionally driven. I am somebody that is highly empathic and I can pick up on those things. And I'm feeling very good though. Like I'm feeling very like my posture just like got better. I'm sitting up straighter. I'm feeling like kind of how you feel when you just know something is right for you and you feel good in your body based on choices that you're making. So whatever this is, it's a good thing. It might take a moment for it to feel like a good thing, especially with some of those difficult cards, but ultimately you're making good choices and just believe in yourself. Trust yourself, Spirit, above anything. I wonder if that's why that came out so strongly in the beginning when I was telling you about the different piles. Spirit is saying, trust yourself. I keep hearing that message. Trust yourself. You know, that's where a lot of us kind of fall short on our own intuition is we don't trust what we're feeling or what we're thinking or what we're processing. So really trust yourself. And if any of you are interested in getting more into the imagination side of manifesting, if that's something you're able to do, with imagination, I say if you're able to do because there is actually there is a certain thing that like doesn't allow people to actively do active imagination. And it's not just not having an inner dialogue. Like there's actually a medical terminology for it. But if you are able to do that and you want to know more, I would highly recommend checking out Oh My Annie here on YouTube. She doesn't know me and I don't know her personally, but her content on active imagination and stuff is really good for like visualizing your life. So definitely check her out. And same with Life by Lucy. I'll put the channels down below for y'all so you can check them out if you're interested. But in any case, I hope this reading helps you out. Don't forget to claim your blessing. Follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Kloee Taylor, same as here. And if you want any of these cards, they're all linked down below for you. And if you should choose to do so or feel called to, my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal are listed down below. It's never an expectation, but always appreciated. I do accept tips for my readings. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much to Keen for sponsoring today's video. Check them out as well. Links below. And I love you all so much, my pumpkins. Please do not forget when you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I'll speak to you again soon. Bye. Hello, friends, and welcome in to your reading, everything you want to know right now. If you chose this pile, you would have chose the blue candle. Blue candles actually represent the element of water, our emotions. They can correlate to water signs in the zodiac because it represents the element of water. Water signs are going to be the Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. It doesn't mean that you are one of those, but it may be. And it may also be about attracting one of those for you as well. So, or somebody with those signs in their big three, which is going to be Sun, Moon, Rising. To me, blue candles more than anything really correspond to our emotions, our emotional fulfillment, emotional well-being. So if you feel like you've maybe needed a little more emotional balance, this might be something to set intention for. But really, it can be anything. You don't have to go with my suggestions. Just choose a person, place, thing, something you want to call into your life. Go ahead and put your left and right hands over your heart because love is the highest vibrational frequency we as humans can attune our energy to, so it brings our intentions in a lot faster. And then what we're going to do is actually take really just like one big deep belly breath. So I want you to take it all the way into your belly, like let your belly expand. You could even put one hand on your heart and one on your belly as well, so you're really like feeling your body, feeling into the intention. And then go ahead and choose something and let's take that deep breath together. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take my enchanted lighter and we are going to light this. Ooh, she is ooh, she went out, sis. Whew, okay. That doesn't happen very often. I think that's happened like one other time on the channel. We're going to try it again. and see what happens. But that literally lit and went out. So what that says to me immediately is those of you that really felt that, because you can, like, even if you want to rewind the video and kind of go back to that and see how that made you feel. When it goes out, to me, that's a strong indication that whatever you were setting intention for, there might be something in the way. And it doesn't mean that you can't have it. It just means it's kind of like a not right now sort of deal. So spirit really kind of says like, nope, not right now, or this needs to change first, or something kind of has to be done first before we can call that specific thing in. And without knowing every single one of you individually, it's really hard to say. The first thing that I heard though is those of you that are wanting more emotional fulfillment. I feel like it's also, I'm getting this message of like, you have to be willing to put forth some kind of effort. If you haven't been, if you have been, you got nothing to worry about. But if you haven't really been expelling any kind of effort, not really reading any books, taking some time to maybe meditate with yourself, maybe this time right here, right now, as we do this reading, this is like your self-care time, really taking time for you out and sitting with that nothingness. If there's like an emptiness, a nothingness, something that I'm like hearing that as well. There's like a nothingness, but really being present with it. That might be all that you really need. I don't think whatever it is something that's super complex. That's usually when that happens, spirit is really conveying to me like, hey, pay attention, because this is something you need to pay attention to. Like I'm snapping because that's like what I'm hearing is there's like a snap of like, hey, listen. So spirit is really saying like, pay attention to me, listen to yourself, that inner guidance system. So if you're unsure of how to connect, I would highly encourage you to check out, I did a couple videos on connecting with your guides, and the Gem Goddess has one as well that I know I've referenced before. Check out those videos. And I'm not just saying that to like shameless self-plug. I'm genuinely like, if you're somebody that doesn't even really know where to start, I feel like those videos are like good videos to start with. So it looks like the candle is burning fine now. It's just burning straight up. There's not really any wiggle going on. Some of the wax has dripped, but ultimately I feel like it's burning pretty steady. I wouldn't really say that there's anything conflicting with it. So I feel like spirit is really just saying that there's something you need to pay attention to. And once you give that attention, whether it's attention to yourself or a situation, once you give that attention, you'll be able to call that thing in so much easier. So we're going to go ahead and put this right up over here for you, so we can still kind of see what's going on. And let's see what the cards have. So we are using that beautiful black deck that I have. I've used this before in readings, but they are kind of hard to see. So I'm going to hold them up here and really try to show them off to you. Some of them are darker than others. Let me just readjust the camera. Okay, so first of all, we do have the Six of Wands for you. Okay. So place that right up here. We have I'm trying to make sure that we can really see him. Okay, we also have the World. Beautiful. We have the Six of Swords. Ooh, a double six. Okay. The Six of Swords. We have the Hanged One. And then we also have the Nine of Wands for you. The wand cards I find in this deck are the hardest to see. Okay, so the Nine of Wands. So what this really says to me right off the bat is spirit is saying that with the Six of Wands and the Six of Swords, we're in a transition period. We're in a period where, I mean, we're always in a transitional period, if I'm honest. Like, we're always going through a new cycle, but we also have the World in between the two of these, and the World is the completion of a cycle. So maybe there's something that you've been really wanting recognition for, or you've recently have received it. The Six of Wands really talks about that, talks about getting recognition for something, but chasing recognition. And then it's almost like once you got it, it wasn't everything you thought it was going to be. And maybe that's where you are now, or where you are coming up, what you're coming up to. So the world is kind of like the closing of a chapter. So maybe there's been a time in your life. This could also, honestly, I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm hearing ego death. I mean, the Six of Wands also can talk a lot about our ego, and the world is a closing of that. So I feel that, this could be you really going through an ego death and kind of pursuing something brand new in life. And that might even be the thing that really needs to kind of be looked at or changed or really analyzed, is looking at where your ego is coming from. Because all of us have an ego. I don't care who you are. And it's not that we need to not have one. I will never get behind that idea. As somebody studying psychology, we need our ego. We're never going to be without it. We need it. The ego is there to help keep us safe. And sometimes we do actually need to be kept safe. Now, sometimes the ego tells us lies too, that, we need to be safe when really we are safe. We just have never experienced life in this way and been safe about it, because the ego can also be very primal and very in survival mode all the time. So I do feel that for some of you, this could be like a very big, maybe the emotional awakening that you needed. We're kind of, the ego to me, I also see as something more masculine, where the emotions I see as more feminine. And that doesn't mean that men don't have emotions and women don't have the ability to be go-getters. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's the last thing you're going to hear come out of my mouth. Trust me on that one. But I believe everybody has divine feminine and divine masculine energy. Everybody has both. And maybe you've been a little more in your divine masculine as of late, been really force, create, do. And you're kind of being asked to go on this new journey of really analyzing self, analyzing where you're going, where you're headed. Has this thing made you happy? Have the people around you made you happy? Have the things you've created made you happy? Does your job make you happy? Does your, and it's not that happiness is a goal, because happiness as a goal is happiness is very fleeting. We can't live in a state of happiness. We're going to have days where we're not super up in our joy and in our happiness. Everybody experiences bad days. Everybody experiences times where they don't feel as good about themselves or their surroundings. That's normal. But I feel that many of you are maybe saying, I don't want to be in this. I want to relax a little bit more. Can I slow down a little bit? Maybe, I'm sorry, there's so many messages. I feel like a lot of you must have chosen pile number 2, because there are so many messages. It's like hard for me to hear them all. Some of you maybe have also received a lot of recognition for something that you've done. And as I said, it's not all it's been cracked up to be. You're realizing that maybe the recognition with that, kind of like great responsibility comes, or with great power comes great responsibility. And there might be some of you that are realizing, oh, this was like way more than I signed up for. And you're kind of trying to find a way to balance these two things, balance the way that you do things, create things, move through the world, and finding a way that you can navigate all of that, but still kind of keep your sense of self and your sense of peace. Because then we move into the Hanged One. And the Hanged One, to me, this is about gaining perspective. And this is why I said some of you might be experiencing an ego death, either right now or very soon, or going through this deep transitional spiritual awakening. And I believe that we can have multiple spiritual awakenings throughout our lives. It doesn't just happen one time and then you're done. It can happen at multiple points. Every day we are evolving and advancing in our consciousness. I really do believe that. Every day we're learning more. We're getting smarter, right? So with the Hanged One here, though, this is like a stop. This is a stop and analyze the beauty in your life. What is truly beautiful and what is not? And do you want to hold it or do you not? Because, we have this hand holding this rose right here. And it's almost like, you can hold that rose and it's very beautiful, but that rose also has thorns and it can hurt you. So we kind of have to make room for the complexity of it all. The ego side and the true self, the intuitive side, the masculine and the feminine. We have to make room for it all, because that is how we can be our greatest version of self, is by making room for the complexity. I feel like maybe many of you have been feeling really put out because you're just feeling it all. You're really trying to tune in, and you're getting a lot of conflicting information. And I feel you on that. You're getting a lot of conflicting information about a lot of different things, and it's causing you to have to stop and evaluate. And Spirit is really saying right now, that's what you need to do. You need to stop and evaluate, because the Hanged Man to me is either you put yourself on pause and just say, you know what, I'm going to take a little break, or the universe will put you on pause. Now, because this is in the upright position, this to me says you've done it yourself. You're putting yourself on pause. If it was in reverse, it's kind of like things getting in the way, or you being put on like a forcible pause, you could say. So because it's in the upright position, I feel like we've done this to ourselves. We're saying, okay, we need to evaluate and take stock of where we're going. Now, some of you also have just closed a very significant chapter in your life, and you're looking for what the next thing is, because as humans, we're all guilty of this. There is something called the hedonic treadmill, and it's like we accomplish a goal and then we almost immediately move into, okay, what's next? And I feel like right now you're really being taught how to kind of step off the treadmill, take time to evaluate, and be content and happy with where you are. And those of you that are not content and happy with where you are, you're evaluating that. And with this card, the Nine of Wands, it's like, I feel like you're building to another completion, because the Nine of Wands, the 10 of Wands, all 10s in the tarot are completion. They're the end of a cycle. So I feel like it's almost like you've ended a cycle, gotten into a new cycle, and you're going to be coming up on the close of it again. The Nine of Wands can also be about running from what scares you. It can also, to me, be a lot about exploring your own inner depths, Now, I know that I feel like your inner self can be a lot more cup energy, but from the Nine of Wands, oftentimes there's a lot of, I'm thinking of like the Tarot of Haunted House. If any of you have seen that deck before, there's this image on that deck of this woman in the Nine of Wands running down a hallway with her like candlestick in hand. And I feel like it can also be kind of running from the depths of self, or from what we've gotten ourselves into. And I feel like Spirit is really saying, if you want to do that, that's okay. Like if you need to get out of a situation, that's okay. You know, you're not stuck anywhere. You're not stuck where you are. You can always make new choices and make new changes for where you currently are. And it's really just asking yourself what it is that you want, and know that there is no life that everything is going to be like peachy keen. Every little thing is going to be perfect and in perfect alignment. And yes, there are things that are going to happen that are really beautiful, but it's a part of life. We learn by these experiences that kind of throw a wrench in our plans. So let's go ahead and get a little more intel. We have Neptune, Sacrifice, Mercury, Mind, and we also have Sagittarius, IC. So some of you also may want to check out pile number 1, because a lot of this is very similar in the sense that we talked a lot about sacrifice in pile number 1. We talked a lot about, it was like about fire signs because of the red candle. And we also had the third house, which is communication, and Mercury ruled Gemini. Rules the third house, and Mercury rules Gemini. And I feel like these are kind of similar in that regard. So if you were feeling called to 1 and 2, definitely go back and check pile number 1 out. But if not, let's just keep on going. But with Neptune, Sacrifice, I'm feeling compelled to pull the book on this, because I know a lot about Neptune, but for some reason, Spirit is saying, you know what, open the book, Kloee, let's talk a little bit more about it. I don't think I've cracked the book maybe one other time on this deck. I usually don't read with the book for most things. I tend to be a lot more intuitive, but I'm really feeling like we should pull the book, so we're going to do it. Okay, so we have, this says 10, Sacrifice. So we have the book here. You are being directed into an area which may feel like it is unknowable. Surrendering to the mystery may work best now. So I also feel like the Nine of Wands talks about that too, just like going into the mystery, into the unknown, and like running towards it. So that's good. Although nebulous, hazy, and indirect, the energy of Neptune is one of the easiest to see. When Neptune is placed in a chart is where we are most inspired, but also an area where we deceive ourselves. It is the place of mishaps and bringing on undercurrents of strangeness. For so many, Neptune is the source of many troubles since this card indicates escapism as well as beauty. So I also feel like this can talk a little bit about like seeing something with rose-colored glasses, because Neptune, I feel like very much is that energy. It can be very dreamy. And so I feel like for you, you're actually going to be taking those off. You know, how I talked about the Hanged One in we see so much beauty, but it also can be so hurtful if we're not careful. And I feel like this really is more about you analyzing that. And it is very hard to analyze the dreamy romantic beauty, right? Because you're seeing things through rose-colored glasses. It can be hard to put the analytical hat on. But when we have Mercury mind coming out and I see with Sagittarius, I feel like you're going to come away from this with such a deeper understanding of self. And maybe many of you, I'm really hearing that a lot of you are struggling. Like I'm feeling like knots in my stomach right now. And I know that those are not mine. It's definitely coming from some of y'all, but it's like you're very deeply confused. And like I said, I feel like you're getting a lot of conflicting information from many, many sources. And Spirit is literally saying you're going to have to look at things for yourself and use your own discernment. Nobody is going to know the intricacies of your mind, the intricacies of your body, the intricacies of your life experiences. Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Even when people say, oh, they know me better than I know me. No, that's actually really not true. You are going to know you better than anyone else. You are the one that gets to define what the experiences you've had have meant to you. So ultimately, that's really what Spirit wants you to be aware of, is you actually do know you better, and you have the power to move through life with that deep inner understanding. I'm also hearing like you need to become the oracle of your own life. Like even like it's okay to listen to pick a cards. Obviously, why would I be here if it wasn't? It's okay to speak with psychics. It's okay to want that guidance. But you also need to know when to use your own discernment too. And maybe that's why you're here, because you need to be told that. Spirit's like, hey, you know, everybody has these beautiful gifts and you're able to start honing your own and understanding your own path from your own perspective. So with that, I feel like that's really what this is about, is like tuning into your own emotions, tuning into your own well-being and asking yourself, what do I think of that? So-and-so has told me what they think of that, but what do I think of that? What am I into? What do I think? What is my opinion? And you need to come away with, I feel like many of you are also just like confused about who you are. And I'm just getting like a lot of confusion. And in order to figure out who you actually are and what you stand for, you have to start discerning for yourself instead of listening to what everybody else has to say. So with Mercury mind, Sagittarius, both of these are very like Gemini and Sagittarius, which Mercury rules Gemini and technically Virgo. With these, like these are opposites, right? But they're also very similar in that regard, because Sagittarius also is like higher knowledge, higher learning, higher understanding. And Mercury rules the mind and how we think. So you're being told to really sit down and contemplate. We also have deep knowing and we have breathe. Okay, so literally Spirit just came in here and said, you need to start trusting your own inner guidance system. With deep knowing, you already know. Like the fact that you're even here right now listening to this pick a card, yes, there might be some things that are coming out that you really needed to hear, but you already know. If you set an intention for an answer for a question, Spirit is here to say, like, you already know. You don't need somebody else to answer it for you. You already know. And with breathe, you're literally being told to get still, to breathe, to take some, and like people think meditating is so difficult, which it can be if you're not used to it, but all it takes is 1 to 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be 3 hours a day. It doesn't have to be all of this time. It can just be a few deep breaths in the morning that are just for you, right? So Spirit is saying the way through this is to sit and breathe with yourself. The way to understand yourself deeper, to come to that level of understanding and true inner knowing, deep inner knowing, is just to be with yourself, to breathe in that beautiful life force energy. And we also have true love come to me. And we also have safe travel. Keep me safe and let me roam far away, but bring me home. So many of you also might be thinking of traveling to see someone, like a significant other, I'm hearing. And Spirit says, like, maybe you're having a hard time making that decision, a very specific decision. The world can also talk about travel. And Spirit is saying, like, you need to trust your own gut on that. Nobody else is going to be able to tell you exactly what to do. And same with true love, come to me. This is also about unconditional love. And it doesn't have to come from a partner. Unconditional love has to really come from the self. And Spirit is saying, come back to yourself. Come back to you. Who are you? What do you think of yourself? And if you don't think highly of yourself, that's where you have to start. Is starting to change the inner dialogue of how you think about yourself. Honestly, this reading I feel like was like very confusing. I'm getting, like I said, I think a lot of you must have chose this pile because so many different messages came out of it. I like want to go back and almost review it again. So we're going to go through this one more time, see if we can pull anything else out of it. But basically we have the Six of Wands, which can deal a lot with the ego, the World, which is the ending of a chapter. It's very like cyclical, but the World also can talk about world travel as well. So there might be something about travel in there. I think that's funny that I didn't pull that out initially, but then we had a travel card come up way down here. We also have the Six of Swords, which this is about traveling. Well, to me, the Six of Swords, it can be about actual travel as well, but it's about traveling more with the self to like a new place with self, if that makes sense. It's not about necessarily world travel or short-term travel. To me, it's more about the inner journey. Then we have the Hanged One. And then we also have the Nine of Wands. Honestly, a lot of these talk about travel now that I'm looking at it again. So we got a lot of in-depth answers, but also some of you I think are very conflicted about travel right now, which understandably so. If you're watching this when it's current. And Spirit is ultimately saying like, because Mercury rules travel as well, short-term travel. Spirit is saying like you're going to have to come to that conclusion on your own. You're going to have to come to your own inner wisdom, deeper knowing to know if you should make those decisions or not. And also in terms of your own life and the decisions that you're making, something significant is ending for you. You're starting something new. And you're going to see this through as well. Even when it gets kind of scary and difficult, I feel like you're being brought to the edge. You're being brought to the edge of self. You're being brought to the edge of who you are and to the own depths of like, do I want to say your soul? Like you're really coming to your own depth of self. And in doing that, you're taking away the rose-colored glasses. You're coming to have a deeper perspective and understanding of self. And Spirit is saying in order to get really clear on this, you need to be practicing more of a mindful meditation is going to be great. Breath work is going to be great. Even just doing more mindfulness. If you're not already doing this, if you're already doing it, great. Spirit is like, keep going. And ultimately, I think you're going to come to this place of having love for yourself, love for others, deeper understanding. And those of you that are wondering about travel, whether it's an inner journey, you're going to be safe to do this. It's okay for you to travel this way. And some of you also are just wondering about travel, and Spirit is saying you're going to have to use your own discernment. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. I apologize if it was all over the place. I just felt like I was getting so much at once. I feel like I need to go take a few deep breaths before I get into pile number 3. But thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to claim your blessing. All of the cards are listed down below if you want to get any of these decks for yourself. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well as TikTok. I'm at Kloee Taylor. And if you feel called to do so, it is never expected, always appreciated. I have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below. I do accept tips for my readings, but again, it is never an expectation. And don't forget to check out Keen, links down below. And do not forget, when you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I love you so much and best of luck on your journey. Bye. Hello, my beautiful pile number threes, and welcome in. If you chose this pile, you chose the yellow candle. Yellow candles represent joy, sunshine. They also represent the element of air. So even though they don't specifically go into each air sign, I always like to include that because it's still part of the element of air. Gemini, I believe personally, is like the yellow color, like yellow corresponds to Gemini, but I always like to throw in all of the air signs because yellow does represent in the four elements the element of air. So air signs are going to be Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. So if you are one of those, it also could be that you're wanting to attract one of those. It's really more like it could be attracting one or like one like in the major three, basically. So sun, moon, rising, or this could be you. Maybe you just want a little more joy in your life, happiness, or it also could be about the solar plexus chakra. I'm hearing from spirit that some of you maybe just need to do a little bit of work around that chakra because that is our personal power and our like confidence and such really comes from in there. So it could be any of those things, but basically what we want to do is put our left and right hands over our heart because the energy and vibration of love is the highest frequency that we as humans can attune our energy to. So whatever we set intention for, that is how it's going to come into us, is through that heart center. So go ahead and think of a person, a place, a thing, something you want to bring into your life. And let's take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and take it all the way into the belly. You can even put one of your hands on your belly and one over your heart if you want to like feel that expansion. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath on that intention. All right, go ahead and take my enchanted lighter and we are going to light this flame. Ooh, she's a big flame. Okay, love to see it. The wick on this one is also churning upward. This happened in pile number 1, 2. 1, 2, that just sounded funny. It kind of like churned upward, which to me, this is also an indication that life is starting to go in a more positive and hopeful direction. So I love that. We're going to go ahead and put this candle right up over here in the corner for us so we can still see it in the reading, but it's kind of out of the way. And I am using my black tarot card deck again today. That's why we're doing a white backgrounds. These cards are a little bit more difficult to see. I'm going to do my best to show them to you. So we're going to go ahead and recenter the camera here. So we do have for you the 10 of Swords. We do have for you Justice. We have the 4 of Wands. We have the 3 of Swords. And we have for you the Star. Oh, I love this. Okay. I do need to say before I speak on this, because I heard a couple of messages right away, that number one, please never use me instead of legal advice. Go to a legal professional if you need legal advice. There is a disclaimer in my description about this as well. Like always, 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 like I'm not a lawyer. I'm not trained in that. Always go to a legal professional. That being said, some of you maybe are going to court over something. I'm hearing like a custody battle. Maybe you're also going to like divorce court. Those of you that are going to court over something, over like a heartbreak or something that has been just like not good in terms with you and another person. It could have just been like a business deal gone wrong. Maybe you were in business with a friend. Something that was really upsetting because the 10 of Swords is like the ending. The sun is setting on something. Something is over. Justice is being dealt with, but I'm seeing a victory here. So the 4 of Wands to me really is truly the card of victory, coming out victorious. So those of you that are in like a legal battle with someone, I do see this kind of being ruled in your favor, especially because we have the Star being present. And Spirit is really saying, don't fight dirty with this. Be your authentic self. And that is how you're going to come out shining. That is how you're going to really make it through this, is by not being deceitful or going under anyone. This will kind of work. This will work out in your favor if you are being authentically yourself in this situation. Now, those of you that are not dealing with anything that is legal or anything like that, I feel that many of you maybe are feeling really kind of run down in life, or maybe that is a recent thing of the past with this 10 of Swords. But Spirit wants you to know that that chapter of your life is over. That has come to a close. You might even be dealing with the endings of that right now. And you need to not worry about serving justice to someone else. If something with someone else has kind of gone awry, you don't need to worry about serving them justice. You need to let karma deal with them, because justice, to me, we do have karma being really depicted as we have the balancing scale here. And that to me really speaks volumes about karma. Lady Karma, she will come for that person. You don't need to worry about it. It's not your job to deal out punishments. And with the Four of Wands, this says celebrate yourself, celebrate your own wins, celebrate your own victories, and know that if there has been somebody that has hurt you or really made you feel unhappy, with this Three of Swords, there might be times where you still feel hurt over this, and that's to be expected. Healing and grieving for something that is gone, it's not linear. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll give you a personal example in my life, and I say these things to help you understand the cards better, not because I want to sit here and just talk about myself all the time, contrary to popular belief. But I'll give you a very personal experience. Long story short, we've talked about this on this channel before. I used to do gaming for like 7 years. I had a gaming channel that I built up to almost 200,000 subscribers. I went on several business trips under this brand with big gaming companies. I was really like doing something that was it was fulfilling at the time, but eventually I found that being my authentic self, it wasn't really where I wanted to be anymore. And as I've made that transition into doing more spiritual stuff, running a spiritual based podcast, running this channel, running different things that don't involve gaming, there are times where even though I don't do that line of work anymore because it's really unfulfilling for me personally, there are times where it still hurts. There are times where I still miss that part of myself. There are times I've been doing this over here for almost 3 years, I think, but not really seriously until about a year ago. It's been almost a year that we've been doing this over here very seriously. And I've really put gaming down for the most part. There are still times, even a year later, where I still am like, man, I really miss that. I miss this person or that person or these interactions or creating in this kind of way. And it's not linear. You're not just going to get over whatever this thing is tomorrow. It's not linear. And ultimately, the reason that you went through this huge evolution isn't because you were meant to overcome this hurt. This hurt is still possibly going to be there with you because it was painful or is painful. But you've experienced this because you were meant to come out more authentic on the other end. The Star card to me is a card that I hold very special. Like if I ever design my own tarot deck, you better believe the Star is going to be on the cover probably, because the Star to me is the authenticity warrior. That is somebody that is very authentic and true to themselves, knows who they are, and can move through life in their authenticity, which that to me is like one of the greatest things you can do for yourself is be your authentic self. So all of this has been here to shape you, to change you, to help you come back to you. And ultimately, if you've been lacking a lot of joy in your life, to me, the Four of Wands and the Star are extremely positive cards that talk a lot about celebration and joy and bringing that level of happiness and self-assurance back to yourself, that confidence back to yourself. So this is honestly a very beautiful thing that we're seeing here, in my opinion. Now, we also have for you Void, Course of Moon, Missing. We have the 11th house of friendship. Love that. We'll talk about that. And then we also have lunar eclipse change. Okay, so you are changing for the better right now. Spirit is saying what is happening right now in your life, you're being changed for the better. The void course of moon, to me, with missing, I feel like a piece of your identity is being changed. There's some part of you that is being changed. You're doing the changing. You're a big part of this. It's not just something outside of you bulldozing you. You are changing for the better. And I believe that this is coming about because you are coming more into your own authenticity. You're understanding who you are. You're understanding the people in your life even that are really authentic. So what I think is so interesting is the 11th house and the star card, both of these correspond to the sign of Aquarius. The star, Aquarius represents the star, and the 11th house is the house of Aquarius, the house of friendship, the house of, to me, you could say this is a lot about independence and self as well, because Aquarius is very authentic to themselves. It's a big part. This is why Aquarius is like one of my favorite signs of the zodiac. I try not to have favorites, but I'm going to be real with y'all. If I had to pick one, I'm not even an Aquarius or anyone that has major Aquarius placements in their chart. Saturn is like the only thing in Aquarius for me. I just really love Aquarian people. And I feel like they're very true to themselves, highly independent, and I enjoy that. So when it comes to this, we have to think about the energy of Aquarius, and that's what they represent: the independence, the authenticity. They know who they are. They're not afraid to be a little different. And I feel like that's really what's happening. It feels like a piece of you is missing, but really you're gaining so much by changing yourself to be more of who you are. And I hear all the time this, like, we must become who we are, but I actually believe it's on the contrary. I don't think we ever are not who we are meant to be. Life is not about becoming someone else. It's about unbecoming the parts of us that we are not. So pay attention to that in your life where you feel like you're letting go of something, kind of like that onion. We have to peel back the layers to know who we truly are. And I feel like that's really what we're dealing with for you. Even if it is a legal justice case, once this is closed, it's going to be so much better for you in the long run. Then we also have for you the fates. And we also have a higher power. So, gosh, this card, the higher power, comes up with the justice card a lot. I've seen these two pair up, and they're from two totally different decks, but I've seen these come together a lot. I'm wondering if some of you have chosen a similar pile in the past when we've had these cards come out, because the higher power and the justice card, to me, this is like divine intervention. I'm also hearing some of you need to pick up a 7-day candle just from like the Dollar Tree sells them, Target sells them. Most grocery stores, at least in America, sell them. I can't say for anywhere else because I don't know what that's like, but I'm hearing from spirit that like they want a 7-day candle. Like, get your spirit guides. If that's something you've been trying to make a connection with, or you have something really hard that you're dealing with, go out, get yourself a white 7-day candle and light that up and see if that doesn't help you, if that doesn't allow more connection to come in, because I'm hearing that whatever you're experiencing, this hurt, you have a higher power that wants to step in and be with you, whether this is a spirit guide, your own higher self, God, the universe, however you see it, whatever that divine source energy is for you, it wants something, and it's okay to commemorate in that way. So if you're able, definitely try that one out. That's not a message for everybody, just some of you. There might be like one of you even that just needs to hear that to go out and get that. Or if you have access to one already, go ahead and pull that out and light it, especially if you've been thinking about it. And with the fates, I feel like this is one of those things that like was fated. And I have a lot of opinions on like fate and destiny. And I don't believe that any of us overtly have one. I don't think it's like, oh, this is like the one path you have to go down. We have a multitude of them. But I do believe that there are certain things in life that we maybe agreed upon, that we wanted to experience life in this way, even if there were different ways that it would come about. And with the fates, I feel like whatever is happening, it was something that was fated. Even if it was supposed to come about in a different way, there's an experience here that you were supposed to have. And it's ultimately there for your fulfillment. And it's also another symbol to, some of you need to also like study the stars a little bit more, because we have the star being present and we have the fates with all of these stars being depicted. Some of you need to get a little more curious about astrology if that's something that you've always kind of wanted to dabble in, but you never have. And also maybe even going stargazing, I'm hearing, like connecting more with the stars. And then we also have grace. And we have authenticity. Oh my God. That's beautiful. I could cry. Sorry, that's just such beautiful energy. So have grace throughout this process. If you're really feeling defeated with what is going on and it's been a difficult process for you to go through this, just give yourself grace, give yourself time, give yourself space, and know that you're coming out more in alignment with yourself than you ever have been before. This is like this is like when a butterfly like goes into its cocoon, basically becomes goo. That happens. Or it's not a butterfly, a caterpillar going into its cocoon, becoming goo to come out a beautiful butterfly. You're coming out the butterfly. A butterfly might be a really symbolic thing for you as well. I'm hearing some of you really connect with the imagery of butterflies. You might even have a butterfly tattoo. Interestingly enough, I'm seeing some of you might have a butterfly tattoo or even a fairy, because we do have these wings here. I'm seeing wings. But the butterfly might be a big symbol for you. So if you see butterflies, especially as we're coming up into the spring months, depending on which hemisphere you're in, especially as we come into spring, pay attention to those butterflies, see them, honor them. They might be coming in the form of your guides, showing you something. And you really are on the path of authenticity. And I'm just so happy for you. I'm literally smiling from like ear to ear. You're on the path of like the highest authenticity for you. And even if it feels complicated and hard right now, know that even in like a month, 2 months, 3 months from now, like this is all going to make so much more sense. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I chose to do things this way, or I chose to be this person, because look at where it's brought me. Look at who I've become, or unbecome rather. And I think it's going to be a really beautiful transition to witness. And I think the friends that surround you, even if you're maybe gaining new ones, that could also be a thing. I didn't talk about that. With the 11th house coming out, the house of friendship, you might be gaining new friendships that are highly influential in a good way. They help bring out the more authentic aspects of you. And it could also be mentors. I feel like when we talk about friends and personal connections, we are the 5 people that we spend the most time around. Like you become the 6th person. So be really wise with who you're spending time around. And it doesn't mean you have to know the person specifically. Like I feel like I have very, very, very few friends. I do that on purpose. I know a lot of people, but I have a very tight, close circle of friends. And a lot of them I've had since really early on in my life. Not all of them. Many of them have come in, but I also have like people that I read their books, I watch their YouTube videos, I listen to their podcasts, and those are, you're going to become the 6th person. So pay attention to the things that you let into your life at this time, and know that it's okay to change. No, it's not always just a phase. You could be making like a full and complete change. Know that it's okay to change is another thing coming through. It's okay to honor yourself, however that is for you. And that is what I have for you, pile number 3. I hope this reading was helpful for you. I hope it gave you some insight on some of the things that you've been wanting to know about. And please do not forget, when you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. All of the cards, candles, etc. are linked down below. If you feel called to do so, I have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below. Tips are never expected, but certainly always appreciated. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, my podcast. All of that is below. And if you should choose to do so, Keen is also available to you. The link for that is also down below and in the comments. Check them out. Thank you so much to Keen for sponsoring today's video once again. I love you all so much, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.